What's up, guys? This is the Board Game Roamer, and I'm here with something completely different than I have ever done on the channel. So I would imagine that I am not the only one that is a fan of these inserts for your games. They make life a million times easier. They make the boxes a million times stronger. And let's face it, in most cases, it's very difficult to find an insert that comes with a game by default that's really just an amazing insert. Not that there aren't some good ones, right? But they're few and far between. And so I like to have my games organized as best as I can. Baggies work, but baggies can only take you so far. So I have managed to get my hands on this insert. This is an insert for Champions of Midgard. It's by a company called Warbox. They're actually I believe they're in Poland. And so I managed to get this. I'm going to put it together on the channel because here's the thing that I've got about inserts, right? Number one, let's start with the foam inserts. Foam inserts, I do not have a problem with foam inserts. Maybe at the end of this, after I get this one together, I'll pull out. I have a foam insert, a custom foam insert that I created, or not I created. I downloaded the instructions for Twilight Imperium 4. Took forever, but and it's not perfect because it was my first insert. I don't know what made me think Twilight Imperium 4 was a good game to start out with an insert, because there was just a ridiculous amount of stuff, and having never done one, lots of pieces, different heights and whatnot. It was just because a lot of stuff sets in, insets on itself, and it was just pandemonium, right? But I did it, and I'm glad I did it because I do have insert for the game, and they're functional. They're not perfect. They're not necessarily pretty because, like I said, it was my first one, so I was learning a lot about what I should do. But it definitely helps. And so I've actually put together. I have an insert for Mage Knight that I put together. Of course, I've got a dice tower. I say wood. It's not really wood, but close to it. I put that together. I've got a couple of trays for Arcadia Quest and Masmora that I put together, but they were just like one or two pieces. The Mage Knight one had a ton of pieces. That was by Daedalus, and it was awesome. So and I really loved it. So I love the inserts. It's hard to find a good one, especially one that will hold everything, because as we all know, expansions tend to pile up, and then you don't have everything that you need to have for whatever reason. There's not enough room, there's not enough slots, there's not enough. So I do like it. And in this case, I doubt that Champions of Midgard, they may have said it, but I kind of think at this point they're done with any kind of expansions for it. They would be a new game that they released if they did anything with it. So I thought, now's a good time to get something that's going to fit everything. So I managed to find this one, and I'm going to put it together. My biggest thing is with an organizer. Now, I won't say I'm in the minority for this, but I know for a lot of people, this would not be a big deal. But for me, this is a huge deal. I want directions. Even on small ones that don't have a ton of pieces, I like directions. I like to know exactly how to do it, or at least, at a minimum, a video from the company to show how to do it. Like Daedalus, they have really good layouts for their stuff. They've got videos for some of the ones that are a lot more complicated, that walk you through step by step So I don't expect this video to be like everybody just sits down and watches this video, right? But I didn't want to do it just in case there's somebody else out there that has this insert that wants to see it put together. And you know, realistically, this is one of the things. If you're a gamer and you want to have something like that, these trays, and all, you know, you got to spend time doing it. So what I plan on doing is there is, I believe, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then like 3 little bitty deals. So there's basically, we'll say 6 trays. So what I'm going to do is, I think I'm going to do, instead of trying to do it all at one big video, I'm going to do, and it'll include it in this video, will be the first tray, and then I'm going to make each tray a separate video and a playlist, so that if somebody wants to see a specific tray, they can just find it in the playlist and we're good to go. But I just wanted to do this, guys, with you. I was gonna have to sit down and do it, and I thought, hey, let's just let's include my people. So that's what we're gonna do. Oh shoot, I need to go over there and get it. I didn't get it. What I am going to do as far as glue, so there are some of these that you get, Broken Token is a good example, that, you know, they say don't worry about, you know, you don't have to glue it. Obviously, you know, if you do glue it, it does help, but it's not a requirement. So, which is cool. But this one does require it to be glued. What I'm going to attempt to use to begin with is this Loctite super glue. Alright, I can't really see that well, but Loctite super glue. And I like this because of 2 reasons. There we go. I got this at Walmart. Number 1, it's a quick set, so I don't have to sit there and hold it forever like I might have with, say, maybe something like wood glue. I feel like it does just as good, especially for what I'm trying to do, as wood glue would. And it's gel, so it's not real runny. I can really control where it goes generally. And so yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Hopefully that will go well. But I do have this wood glue in case I need a backup. But you know, we'll see. That's what I normally use. I've also got some small clamps here. I mean, when I say small, I mean small, smaller clamps. So if there's anything that I need to clamp, and I got a couple slightly bigger ones over here if I really had to have them, to kind of push it together and hold it in place. And I don't have it here right this second, but I'll get it in just a second. Some just blue tape paint tape, the easy 3M quick pull off kind. And the reason I'm going to use that is on the corners and stuff, to kind of hold the shape, especially the outside, just to keep it from kind of getting loose and not drying, you know, butted up against each of the pieces on the inside. I'm going to take that and I'm going to put the tape on it. I actually did that with the Midgard build that I did, and it really it takes a little bit more time. I mean, that's a given, but it does help make sure that your pieces will stay pretty tight, and as they dry, they'll continue to stay tight, so that when they get done drying and once it's set completely, you'll have a good solid product. You know, that's not, it just has, you know, dry glue that's not touching anything except in a couple places. So and hopefully that will, you know, keep your boxes stronger, keep them from shifting and doing all that kind of crazy stuff that you don't want them to do. So anywho, what I have done is, just for reference for the future, if you're in the future watching this, which I guess technically everybody watching this would be in the future, but I digress. I've laid out on this sheet here, you can see it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you can see parts of them down here. 5 of these wooden blocks that have the pieces on it. So I've laid them out, boom, 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 exactly in the orientation and order that's on this sheet, with this fifth one being over here instead of way down here in the corner, because my table's not quite that big. And of course the diagram has these labels. I know it's kind of hard to see, but it says here A4, A3, A2, A1. So it's giving you the pieces, which are also marked over here. They're not marked on the actual wooden components in the boards, but they are marked here for reference. And the order that you do them is the order numerically that they come. So you start with the A tray, we'll call it, and you do piece A1, and then you put in all the A2s, and you put in the A3, and then you put in the A4s. And if you do it in that order, that's supposed to be the right order, so that you're not like accidentally putting something in the wrong place. So that's what I'm going to attempt to do tonight. Capiche? Questions, comments, jokes? That might be dangerous. Alright, let me grab my tape and we'll get started. Now, like I said, I kind of was going back and forth on this, what I should do, but I'm actually, for each of these different trays, and the reason that I split it up, and I'm going to split it up into separate videos in a playlist, is because I don't want to start putting together and then fast forward, and then somebody missed something that I did. So I'm actually going to, all these videos are going to be real time, which is why I'm doing them separately, so you don't have to sit here and either watch a big long one and you can quickly find what you want. So let's get started, and we're going to start with the A tray, and most of the A stuff is over here on this one that already has most of the pieces just falling out, which I suppose is good. There's the first piece, and then this is always the hard part. Is you want to be careful when you take these out that you don't break anything, but you just want to be careful. And it's funny, when you flex these, you're like, and this is not. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, this isn't like, I can't say that this is, the Daedalus would seem to be a lot stronger, we'll say, than this would. But once you get it put together, right, that's where you get your strength from. So, alright, so let's see here, what do we got? And I want to make sure I get these in the right set, because, so A4, so the top, oh, well, I see how they're different now. Alright, so that piece. And for the most part, almost, oh, that's not the case for that one. For the most part, all these pieces, pretty much most of a tray is on one sheet, and then there's just some ancillary pieces, a couple of pieces from something else. So, generally don't have to go to too many different sheets. Now, of course, you want to be very careful here, and this is why I have this tool, is I don't want to twist this and bend this and end up snapping these tabs. And there's usually only just a couple places that it's really still connected. And so I just keep this knife to kind of score, if I can see the places, a couple of the places, or if I can find them all the places, and just kind of score the cut where it's been, where it's been made, to make it easier, hopefully, to come out and minimize any potential damage to the product. So like I said, I really want to make sure that these tabs come out good and straight and clean, so that they fit real nice and snug in the way that they need to fit when I start putting them together. And most of the time, with just a little bit of work, oh yeah, see, that piece, it just came out, but it's actually not for this, so you gotta be careful with that too. Just a little work and a lot of patience. Just know that you're gonna need a lot of patience. So I'm actually, in fact, gonna flip this over. Gotta be careful. It's really kind of crazy with this, how little, man, it's really just not a very big piece of wood at all that, you know, is connecting these, and you just try to push it through like you would, say, you know, cardboard when you're, you know, punching out your stuff for, you know, a game, and you think, oh, that, I mean, that shouldn't be a big deal. Well, it shouldn't be, but it's not always, it's not hard. Like I said, it's just really more, I would say, more time consuming than anything. The other thing that you want to make sure when you're doing this is that these edges, right, no, you can't really see that well, but these edges here, where they didn't cut out the wood, right, where they were doing the tracing it and they left the little pieces in there, you just want to kind of make sure that those are don't have any pieces sticking out that are going to keep it from slotting into wherever it needs to slot. Most of the time that's not a big deal. You can use sandpaper, which I've used before, or what I'm probably going to do is just take this and kind of shave, you know, if I need to shave something off here. Alright, cool. I'll tell you the other thing that I like to do, and you know, it shouldn't matter, but I like to do this anyway, is I really like to go through and just kind of set all the pieces in. You know, set all the pieces in like this, just so that I can kind of get an idea, because sometimes, like for example, I may, like in this case, the, you know, the, I guess for lack of a better word, the rules call for, the book calls for you to glue all these individual, like all these individual pieces in, right, these four, and then you put this on, right, and then they all slide into this one piece, and you know, then you're good to go. Well, to me, right, the way that I would do it is I would probably put all those in, and then instead of gluing these individually, I would probably just glue these side pieces, right, so this long piece and the edges of these, so that I didn't have a whole lot of glue, because I'm not against the glue, I mean, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, like if I try to do this before putting this piece in, right, and this baby gets really twerked and I don't catch it, you see how, well, you can't really see it. Well, that's not good. So if I got it like, well, you can kind of see it. So if I got it like this and straight up and down, and this baby is twerked way to the side, it's going to be really hard for me to fix that after it's dried, especially if I don't catch it quick enough. So at least if I do it with this in a fairly quick manner, I can get them in there, get them situated, and then once I get them in there and I flip this over, right, now I've got that lip to hold it in place to do this end. And since I kind of put it together, I know that if I do that, I'm going to be able to slide this in. You know, it should be able to slide this in. So let's do this again right quick. So there's that. There's that. Of course, some of these can be kind of tricky. I'm not gonna lie. Can be very tricky. All right, which is another reason why I like to do this kind of like ahead of time, because then I kind of know what to expect, right? All right, so there it is, and then now I know that in the end I can slide that in underneath it, right? And I should be okay. So technically, technically the order is the same because I would set these in first. But as far as gluing goes, because some of these instructions, right, will actually tell you and show you glue at these points. Some of them just say glue it together. So I know that this stuff is good stuff. It's gonna hold. So I'm not going to what's the word I'm looking for? I'm not going to I'm not gonna go crazy, I guess, if that's, I don't know if that's the right word. I'm gonna do this smart. Maybe that's the best way to put it. Right, so, and it doesn't take, again, this is the thing that I like about this gel. It does not take a whole lot. This gel really works. Now, I don't want it to take too long, right, to get this in, because I just want to get it done in a timely manner where it'll still slide and it won't be too, tacky, sticky. What I'm going to do is basically on the bottom of all these tabs is what I'm going to try to do. I know my hands are shaking because I'm really trying to get as much of this stuff out as I can. Now, in this particular piece, there's not a side that's got any kind of decoration on it, so I don't have to worry so much about that. Try another one. I've got 2 or 3. Excuse me. I've got 2 or 3 over here that I can use. It's just, like I said. Oh gosh, that worked pretty good. Okay. And it really, again, doesn't take a whole lot, because this gel is amazing. Alright, so we're gonna set this in here. What I like to do is kind of like set it at an angle and then slide it down as best I can, because what I want to happen is I want, I want those pieces, I don't want them to smear out all over the place, basically. I don't want them to do that. And I want to try to get them as tight as possible. Now, I'm seeing the thing with this is going to be these grooves are not super tight, so I'm probably going to have to put a little bit more super glue on these than I would normally do to try to keep them where they need to be. So I'm actually going to go back in here and just add in at least one of these little pockets here. Kind of just put an extra little dab on that seam. To try to get that seam nice and tight. And then I'm going to press down on it and just really hold it there for a second. Not too much, because obviously I don't want to bend or break any of the wood. And again, so once I do this other side, this is a good example of why, and I guess realistically I could probably even do it like this, right? Do this piece next and then do the other side. That's why I want to tape the corners. That way, as it sits there, when I tape it, it'll pull it in tight and it'll hold it nice and tight when I do that. Alright, so we'll go ahead and do, I think we'll just go ahead and do both sides like this, and then do the ends. And what should happen is these should line up pretty close. It looks like they do. So then we're going to go do the same process, and again I'm just basically hitting the tabs on either side where the wood's going to touch on everything. So, of course, now I have to do this on just kind of one piece at a time here. And again, now that I know I've kind of got to put a little bit of extra on there, I can do that because of the, since it's not super tight. And that's, I guess that's the difference. I mean, that this is the first insert that I've had from this company, so and this is the first piece, so it's not really fair to judge them yet, but this wood is definitely I'm gonna use the phrase, I guess the best phrase would be, maybe I should say, flimsier. A lot more flimsy than the other, the Daedalus. But again, you know, to be fair, I've only put together one Daedalus too, so I don't know that one insert is a fair way to judge the entirety of a company. Alright, cool. So there's everything glued. Got the tabs on these, on the sides, the bottom, the tab that's going to push this way against that. And hopefully, the idea here would be that, having done the other side, these tabs, while they may not be perfect, should be at least pretty close. And those were. So again, putting a little light pressure on here, making sure that I get these pretty close. Get them as smooth as I can, lined up with each other. And this super glue does not take long at all to at least set. Now, obviously, I mean, it's not perfect, right? I still need to be careful with it. I don't want to just bang it around. But the super glue tends to set pretty quick. So And I will say this, once it kind of starts to set like that, you don't want to mess with it too much, because it'll tack up real good, and then you may mess with it, and where it's tacked up, where you want it to dry and make that seal, you may mess around with it and end up jacking up the seal. So you definitely need to be very careful about that, because that can happen, and we don't want that to happen. All right, cool. So I'm also making sure I kind of like just the regular wood on the outside showing, not the side that they've scored it for this particular piece, because that's how it started. So I'm making sure that I'm turning my wood appropriately, where you can see kind of around the edges how that's yellowed, and this side it's not. So I'm making sure this is to the outside. And I may not be that same way on every piece, okay? There may be some pieces where I do that and some pieces where I don't do that. So don't think that you're kind of like locked in. And you may not care. You may just do all the pieces different just to be different. And that is perfectly fine. As Bob Ross would say, it's your world. You can paint it however you want to paint it. Or in this case, you can put it together however you want to put it together. That is teetotally up to you. And there's going to be some times too, guys, that as I'm thinking that I'm going to quit talking. So it's not that I don't enjoy your company. It's that I just need to think to make sure that I get everything glued, and that in my mind I've got everything the way that I want it, the way that I need it to be. Alright, cool. So, oh, see, almost forgot. I'm going to glue the inside tab here, and just a little dab on these tabs. I've already got some on the other side. Never hurts. Alright. Let's get this baby on here quick. So again, I'm just pushing it. Sorry. Just pushing it. Kind of trying to get it where it goes in just straight, just like that. Now I gotta be careful, because if I get it on me, which is what's just happened, then I'm gonna be sticking to everything and might end up pulling something apart, which we do not want. Just like that. Alright, cool. So there we go for there. I like to pick it up every once in a while and move it, just to make sure, especially on this surface, that I'm not, glued this down to anything unnecessarily. Alright, so again, making sure this is the outside. So look, this is the outside. So in this case, it's going to sit like this. I want to make sure that this side is facing that way. And it is. Of course, I'm going to turn it towards me. And we're going to repeat the gluing process. Now, it's kind of funny because these ends right now are a little bit wiggly. And you would initially think, well, crap, that's not any good. And to a degree, you would probably be right. But once we get this other piece in here, that is going to firm up, and it will not be near as big a deal. And I'm about out of stuff on this one, so I'm going to have to be real careful. I have to probably open me up a new one after this. I love these little bottles, but gosh, sometimes it just seems like they go so fast. Cool. And again, we're gonna kind of slide that baby in just like that. And then hopefully, if I did it right. Now sometimes, like I had just a little bit of extra there. I want to be careful. I don't mind it so much on the inside, right? Because in the inside of the box, it's going to dry. It's going to be, you're not really going to see it. But I don't want the outside to be that way, because when I put the tape on, which is what I'm fixing to do, I don't want it to adhere to the tape. Too much. What you can do is, and I forgot to grab them, I'm going to grab some paper towels. Okay, here we go. So just got me a little bit of a paper towel here. And so I just want to kind of run over these joints right quick. Make sure that I got them relatively excess glue free where possible. Of course, this is the case where, you know, I do have it's at least clear. So okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm basically going to tape I want to tape the corners, and I want to tape so I'm going to tape each one of these 4 corners. Then I'm going to tape in a couple places on the bottom, these sides. So here to the same place on the other side, and then I'm in a couple places on the top. I'm going to do that too, just to keep it from instead of bending either way, either at the top or toward the bottom more, whichever way. I kind of put some of those on both sides. And you want to get this tight, because you want to make sure you want to be as diligent as possible to make sure that it does not move all over the place, and it does not take an absorbent amount of tape. Okay, so you don't need like 50 feet of tape to do this. You just need a tight right there. So what I do is I basically put it on one side, and then I kind of pull it as tight as I can against the other side, and then push down on this and push down on the tape, and that generally keeps it pulled up there pretty good. So I'll do this again for this side. Again, I'm going to put the tape on one of the edges, and then I'm going to pull the tape and push down against the bottom end and get that tape adhered well, and then boom. You want to do it on all the corners, and then It really is just kind of dependent on the design after that, as far as on the central part. And you can also, at this point, since you get the other end taped, you can kind of set it upright. Kind of maybe put a little pressure, push down, and on the top. And again, push that tape tight. Not be 100%, okay, but it does help, especially if you've got some of these that are loose, like this one is. It's pretty loose. The other technique is, right, if I put it like this, I'm going to tape on this edge. If I put it right there, and then I can kind of pull the tape out and pull the tape down against that, and then maybe push the bottoms in with my finger. Then that kind of, you know, is generating the force for you. And I always want to check it, look at it. You know, do I see huge gaps anywhere that I feel like would be an issue? And really, I don't. Now, the other thing you can do, I've seen some people do, is to just take the corner of your paper towel, just kind of form a little bit of a point with it, and then on the inside, where you've got maybe some extra glue that's kind of bubbled up, if you can take and you can just rub it down flat. Probably you should do that before you tape it, though, because at this point it may be kind of set up, and I don't know how much. Didn't really get much off of that. But you know, if it's going to dry clear, then you may not even care. You may be perfectly happy with that. So there you go. There's the first piece. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. And realistically, all right, looking at the steps here, four of these, they're all pretty much just basic boxes with just a couple of odd pieces in it. And then you've got like this last piece where these slats, which where are they at? Like, which are these kind of slats? They don't even glue in. I mean, they wouldn't necessarily have to glue in because they come in sideways and just kind of slide in. So you make dividers, and maybe you want to make some dividers larger or smaller depending on what you want to do. So I won't even have to do that. So anywho, that is the first. That's this right here. That's the first one done. So now we're going to work on B. And speaking of B, I will be right back with the next tray in the next episode. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for subscribing. I hope you find this helpful. Even if you're not using the insert, maybe this will give you an idea of what's involved with that. If this is something that you want to do, you know, like I said, I really like having that done for my games because it does make setup, takedown, finding stuff, keeping it organized. If you stack your boxes, it adds strength to the boxes so your boxes don't get as damaged or potentially crushed. So it's definitely something I like to do. So I would encourage you to do it. But anywho, I digress. I'm the Board Game Roamer. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for subscribing, and I will see you, ladies and gentlemen, in the next video. Bye, guys.